Hello and welcome to another cup of tea with Geo and Gonzo. Gonzo, it's been a very busy day for a Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it certainly has been a bit eventful, let's say. The phone's rang a lot, put it that way. So yes, where do we start, mate? Where do we start?
Well, it's not just West Ham. There's Joey Barton's banned for 18 months. John Terry's mum's been a bit eventful on social media. If it is
I
Terry's,
I I don't know. I've got to say, we've got a little WhatsApp chat group, and about 5 minutes before coming on here, I've someone sent me a WhatsApp video, and I've I don't really fully know the full story of it. I might have a gist of it. So I've just and Joey Barton I've just found out as well. So it's been pretty much West Ham dominated. So that other stuff will yeah, we'll have to see.
there's been a good old Wednesday. There's not much we can say about. Obviously, everyone will know now. There's the whole tax raid, as it was described. I think it was more of a tax knock on the door, and can we come in for a look and a chat? There's not too much we can really say, Gonzo. It's quite a shock. Were you shocked?
Big time. Yeah. Well, you told me, didn't you? Let's be clear. You texted me this morning as I was driving to work, and you know. Well, let's not beat around the bush. You said we might have an interesting cup of tea tonight because and I said to you, didn't I? What did I say to you? I said, what's happening? And you said you probably need to have a look at the news. And then yeah, that. So it was a big shock. I didn't have a clue it was happening actually.
Were you sort of, since as the day developed, it came out that there's been men arrested, then it sort of came out that actually no one from West Ham had been arrested. So it sort of like dwindled a little bit as the day went on.
Um, I was gutted. That that was that was my emotion, and all we can do on these things is be honest. And the last few days, I've been thinking up different video ideas and different things to make things more positive. I've been thinking what we could. I mean, I've not discussed this with you, but what we could do with reviews, getting some other people involved. And I've been thinking about and at a chat. We went to the meeting, didn't we, with Karen Brady yesterday, and a lot of the other bloggers were there, and I was chatting to a couple of them about the end of season player awards, and I was just thinking about sort of more positive things. Do you know what I mean? I was thinking, I wonder what sort of positive, more upbeat videos you can do. Obviously, you've got your secret squirrel video, which we won't mention exactly what it is yet, which is a little bit more fun and upbeat. And so that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, do you know what? I think that we need a little bit of fun and a little bit of something else to add into West Ham because it's all been pretty nasty. And then that I was just gutted. It sort of took me back to Tevez and Mascherano. To be fair, I just thought, oh no, the club's name is being dragged through the mud again.
Yeah, I was kind of just like, oh, for God's sake, if this season has had so much bumps in the road, and I started to think that the season's nearly finished. I thought we're safe, we're not going to go down, we can look forward to the end of the season. And then this happened. I thought, oh, for God's sake, it's just something else. As well, there's no end to this season. It's one thing after another. If it's not your best player leaving, if it's not your manager speculation, we've now got this, which is legal stuff. This is no longer about opinion and speculation. This is sort of fact, legal, and quite damaging, or potentially damaging. And it's just a tough end to a tough season, really. But we can't really comment until we find out facts. I mean, obviously, it's related. We know it's questions to a £5 million. This has come from the HMRC. It's 5 million, and it's related to image rights and agents' fees and transfers and stuff, etc. And it's based around dealings with France and some clubs in England, etc. So I don't really know what to think of it. I think it's just a case of time will tell, really, isn't it?
Well, I think it leaves us guessing. Obviously, the one thing we can say is the stuff you said. We can talk about what was in the statement. So, yeah, I think there were 140, 180 officers all across between here and France. As you say, it did seem to be there were some press reports inferring it was to do with agents' payments or something like that. So, of course, the trouble is when you get something like this, the HMRC will put out a very, very small statement. Lots of people are guessing. The news comes over on Sky, and the thing is, in this country, bloody right as well, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. And actually, you're right. There's no one at the club's been arrested or anything like that. So it leaves you guessing. So what you have to do is guess. And unfortunately, because it's at the moment, no one's been charged. And because no one has been charged, someone's been arrested, I think, at the Newcastle end, but no one's been charged.
Yeah, he's been released as well. He's
been released. Okay, so the reason you've got to be careful, and it's not us, is because the HMRC don't muck around. If they did launch proceedings, then you can be seen to prejudice a court case. Now, actually, there's no court case at the moment because no one's been charged. So is that. But then, you can be found in contempt of court and stuff like that. So you don't want to say this, that, or the other. But as a fan, you think, oh, hold on a second. Okay, it's got to do with France. What associations have West Ham got with France? And then you start in your own mind making the links that we all naturally sort of would do. But then again, I heard something just before I popped on that actually the links might go back 7 years. So for me today, I thought, hold on, which French players have we had sort of in the last 12 months? And you think, oh, okay, 7 years. What players have we had in the last 7 years? And it's
I took over 7 years ago as owners of the club. It's just an unfortunate coincidence, probably, but it's the timelines are a bit, doesn't it? It was the first thing I thought when it said 7 years. I thought, hang on, they took over 7 years ago. But you're right, you do sort of think of it. You think of Payet, Diarra, Amalfitano, etc. They all come over from France, Piccione, and they were all not without their troubles, shall we say, for this performance on the pitch, etc.
I'll tell you what the thing is, and the thing is with anything legal or anything. So you get everyone like, no one wants to comment. The Premier League don't want to comment. No one wants to comment, and I sort of understand because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to say something illegal and then get my collar felt. I don't want to comment too much on on my true feelings on it, sort of thing. But what it does, these things then tend to drag, and as I say, it's a crazy old thing because it wasn't that long ago. It seems like long ago that West Ham were everyone's second favourite club. I mean, really, we were. You'd say to people, you'd go up and down the country, oh, God, I love West Ham. I love the football you play. And that Tevez Mascherano sort of, everyone started hating us. And there was a poll. I don't know if you see the poll in 442 recently.
Yeah, about what fans should dislike the most.
And, hated fans in the league. And people don't, I just think we've suffered so much damage and we keep getting kickings from everywhere, from left, right, and centre, and the club just keeps getting kicked in the what's-its. And I mean, I was absolutely gutted. And like you said, as the day went on, you found out that we were less and less involved. You were absolutely right. But my initial reaction was, my initial worry, just my personal thing, no facts at all, was, are we going to get relegated? Are we going to get deducted points? That's the natural thing, because that's what happened with Tevez and Mascherano, and and then everyone else is going to give us a kick in, and I think the Tevez Mascherano thing did a lot, and then the stadiums, because suddenly we've been funded by the taxpayers, so everyone hates us because of that. I don't think the Sam Allardyce years particularly helped either, and I've just seen us over the last 10, 15 years go from everyone's second favourite club to the club everyone loves to hate. And yes, it's sad, and all we do is we go and we support the club, and the fans turn up, and the fans have put up with a move, and they've adjusted to a move and done the best they can. And as fans, we don't deserve to be relegated because of abnormalities. And well, better yourself, you start thinking of the example of Rangers and things like that. So I mean, hopefully we've done nothing. No arrests have been made. I don't think West Ham even had any computers taken or anything like that. So hopefully we are just helping with inquiries, and that's that. But that would have been a surprise. I don't think anyone was expecting that today. I think fans and the club, I don't think the club were expecting that today either.
No, well, when you hear the HMRC, that's what I think that adds a shock value. Because if there was any other organisation, yeah, but because it's them, and you know how serious they are and how thorough they are, if they turn up for something, it's because they've done a thorough investigation. They've, while you call it inquiry, it's probably the final stage of the inquiry where they know there's something not needing investigated, etc. But I think if there was a points deduction, it won't come until next season, maybe even the season after. Anyways, I've got no worries about it coming anytime soon.
No, I don't think that. And I mean, my hope is more than that. My hope is actually we have done nothing wrong, and actually it's somebody else from third parties. If it was an investigation into agents or another third party, and it's actually them, and we've just bought bought players in an official way, and actually when we've transferred that money or bought the players is actually what's happened to that money once it's left our coffers. That's really, I'm sort of hoping that's the case, and if I had to bet on it, I would bet that that's the case as well. Otherwise I think they would have come in a lot harder than they did at West Ham.
So don't do what Joey Barton does with the betting, because he produced his betting slips. He's not very good at it, despite the fact he's been banned for 18 months. He's not very good. But we'll be talking about this again, Gonzo. This is not a subject that's going to go away overnight, so I'm sure. But anyway, one thing we can talk about, and probably not have to talk about again for another 3 months. 3 months ago, we went along with various other West Ham media websites, West Ham Fan TV, Knees Up Mother Brown, West Ham Way, West Ham Children, Claddon Hugh, all of them. Sex Jocks, Carton Cole, Bone Bubble fans.
Who eat a lot of crisps, we got to say.
Yeah, I think I've named them all, but we all went 3 months ago to January. In January, we went and met Karen Brady. We were in there for 3 hours telling her what was going wrong, giving her feedback, asking questions. And we had our follow-up meeting yesterday. I mean, in a way, I was quite disappointed it wasn't today, actually. That could have been quite fun if we were all sitting in that room, then an army of men turned up to get some documents. That would have been a bit entertaining. The questions would have changed drastically if I hadn't. But
well, what's a vlog that would have been, Geo? Can you imagine? I'll be on 4 million views now. Yeah.
Apart from the crisps,
I didn't have any crisps. Hey, you saw the old crisp guzzlers. I think what I have. I had a bottle of water and a coffee. To be fair, I'm allergic to mayonnaise. Did you know that? I'm allergic to mayonnaise, and I thought all there was some sandwiches there, and they looked like they had mayonnaise in them. Before we went in, they gave us a sandwich and a warm drink. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, again, I'll be perfectly honest. I think it's always an honour to be able to walk into the club that you support. If you'd have told me this 2 years ago that I'll be walking in at any level to West Ham and being able to put across the views of the fans, I would have laughed. I would honestly laughed at it. I said, don't be ridiculous. I've got to go and rip a toilet out. But that's the position I find myself in. So, yeah, to go and be part of something like that, particularly out with everybody involved as well, you know, all the different sites. And I thought it was a bit easier this time because we didn't have the whole process of finding out who was who and sort of meeting everybody. And so we almost got straight to it, didn't we? We didn't muck around, really.
Yeah, well, at the very start, she obviously pulled out what she said she was going to do after the first meeting. And she's done some of them. And the ones she couldn't do, i.e. the shower, and she said, well, you know, there's a domino effect in place where it's not just a case of here's someone who puts themselves up, they've got to work with other parties, etc. But they're getting up slowly, not as fast as she would have liked, but again. So when we did that, there's nothing really she's ignored that was sort of brought up last time. But I've got a load of notes that I wrote down that we'll run through. The supporter liaison officers are now 40 part-time ones. I'm sure when we went last time there was about 10, but they're now up to 40, and there's going to be 3 full-time people working there. That's something I actually have to give a lot of praise to Gonzo, because I've had, whenever someone asks me how to do something, or someone not long ago asked me how to get a disabled supporters ticket, match day ticket, I haven't a clue. Okay, so I passed them on to the supporters liaison officers. I asked them, and the guy got back to me and said they were fantastic, etc. And they even met him at the train station and pushed his daughter down to the stadium so he could walk alongside his daughter and see her face when she's seen the ground, etc. And you know, it doesn't get published anywhere. Things like that don't get published, and I only know about it because he came back and told me. And I've got to say, like, the supporter liaison officers, I've seen a lot of positive stuff about them, and I think they're a credit to the club. And everything they've done wrong this season, and there's a lot of stuff. That's something I think we can be given credit for.
It doesn't get published because, unfortunately, it's bad news that sells and it's bad news that circulates. That's why Arsenal Fan TV are doing as well. Arsenal Fan TV win the league 3 years in a row. They won't be doing as many views. This, in all honesty, this video will do better than the last 3 or 4 videos because it will probably say tax raid on the thumbnail. That's the truth. It will get more views because if everybody knew we were doing a cup of tea and we were talking about support liaison officers, it wouldn't get as many views. It's just the way it is. But they do a good job. What I'd also like to say is there was a part after she was speaking about the support liaisons officer, and she said about the new SLO coming on, and she gave, do you remember, I can't remember the exact details, but she gave the credentials, like, it is a West Ham fan, he's been a season ticket for this, his mum and dad a season ticket. I can't remember exactly what was said, but it's definitely it definitely seems to be direct action from them to try and not only make sure that they're good people and they liaise with people, but actually where possible they want to make those staff West Ham fans as well. So I think that's a really nice move.
Yeah, there's been a stewarding revamp. They've brought in a new guy who was at the O2, and Karen seemed quite positive to have him on board, and she seemed quite. He's been bringing new ideas to the table about the stewarding. Really, everyone accepted, even in the last week, everyone accepted the stewarding wasn't up to scratch. There was lots of errors with it. It wasn't planned out properly, but he's been brought in to revamp it. But apart from the searches outside the East Stand, I think the stewarding's been all right actually the last few games. Quite a lot of games now, boys, since Christmas maybe.
Yeah, particularly when you think that there are 1,000 stewards there, aren't there? That was basically the figure that was given. Sometimes some people sort of don't come in or call in sick or whatever. Aim for 1,100. Sometimes it could be 800 or whatever. There should roughly be around 1,000 stewards there. We found out as well that some of them, when you come at the station, Clark and thought, how are all these stewards paid for? Some of them, when you come at the station, are paid for by TFL, which is a new bit of information I didn't actually know that. The stewarding has improved. There's no doubt about that at all. And I said to somebody in the week, I don't think we'll ever walk into those meetings and get big stuff done. You know, I don't think we're ever going to walk in there and then find out that the seats have been moved forward because of it. But it's nice to know that actually, as a result of the first meeting, which was very steward heavy, I mean, probably occupied the first hour and a half, be fair to say, in the first meeting, that it's nice to think that they have taken some things on board and they have done it, and it has improved. And if we've helped even in the slightest little way, particularly the people that spoke up at that first meeting, then it can only be a good thing. And I think the stewarding, hats off to everyone involved.
Yeah, what I will say is from the last game, there's also been an incident on social media regarding a stewarding giving the finger to the home fans, etc. When we brought that up, she knew about it, and she sort of said, we're investigating that, we know about it, which is good to see. She said the ground share is very unlikely. I think she pretty much said it's not going to happen without saying it's not going to happen. She obviously can't say that. She can't say it's never going to happen, but I think she was pretty much nearly there, wasn't she? And to be fair to her, she said the reason is because of the football fans, because of West Ham fans. She said that is the main reason they're not going to ground share with another Premier League club.
Yeah, I mean, she said a lot of things on that. I think also the one thing that, you know, it's very easy to, you know, get all conspiratorial with it, but I think she did actually say, you know, you've also got to remember it's really difficult anyway, even if you wanted to do such a thing. Not that she did want to. She was quite dismissive of the idea, wasn't she? But the Premier League don't want to do it. The fixtures are difficult enough as it is anyway. I think you have to jump through quite a few hoops. So listen, we hope not. The one thing I was concerned about, as you know, was that that the stadium is losing so much money that it might be really tempting for the stadium to try and get Chelsea in. But, you know, it's not just about the stadium wanting Chelsea in. They might not do. Chelsea have got to want to go, which possibly they don't want to anyway. The Premier League have got to want it, which possibly they don't want to. And West Ham have got to want it, which they certainly don't do. So I think there's a bit too much against it, fortunately.
Good news that I wasn't aware of until the meeting is that as of the end of the season is sort of the timeline, we'll be able to spend our club cash in the club store, so you won't have to spend the club cash you get through the ticket exchange. You won't have to spend it on tickets. You'll be able to go into the club store and spend your club cash. I think that's quite a big move. It's these little things that you can get changed. It's not a massive thing in the grand scheme of things, but it will make a hell of a lot of difference to a lot of fans out there, and it might encourage more people to sort of use the ticket exchange, etc. They know they can, from the 30 quid they'll get off it, they can go into the club store and almost get next season's shirt with it.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. It in essence becomes West Ham cash. Not I've never called it anything as crass as that. Yeah, I mean they're little touches, as I say. I mean the big stuff the club aren't going to be able to do, and they're not going to move on. They're not going to tell us the seats can be moved forward. They're not going to tell us we're going to buy a striker for 100 million. They're just not going to say yes to that. But I mean, if they can in some way do some of these little things like that, then why wouldn't you? And that is something. If you sold your season ticket, not your season ticket, if you did the ticket forward, not the forward in the ticket exchange, and you'd sold your ticket back to the club, and you'd got a couple of tickets and you got 30 quid back for them or something like that, why shouldn't you be able to spend it on a club shirt? And to be fair to them, you know, they were in agreement on that. So yeah, it's a good move.
Another little thing that we didn't know about until the meetings, again, it's quite small, but could be significant, is they're investigating, the keyword, to replace some of the white claret ones. That's something a lot of fans are saying. You know, we hate the fact that when it is quite empty, that it really stands out. So they are looking at replacing them with claret seats. But what I found was the most interesting thing with the meeting. She stood by her waiting list, Gonzo, her 55,000 waiting list. She would not budge off that.
Yes, I mean, she did say it was being refreshed as well, didn't she? She said, I can't remember. It's so hard. What you got to remember, guys, Geo's taken a lot of notes there, thankfully, because I didn't take any notes. It was. She's mentioned something about it being refreshed quite a lot, didn't she? So she said every time somebody does something, or I don't know, perhaps every time someone buys a ticket or something, or every couple of weeks, actually the list is refreshed. So yeah, you're right. She was quite adamant that that was the number of people on the waiting list.
Do you believe her?
Well, nobody believed her, mate, did we? I mean, and that's the thing. A lot of people think we're going there saying, but I mean, was it George was sat next to me, wasn't it? And myself and George both said, well, hold on, we've both had emails saying we're on the waiting list, and clearly we're ticket holders. And I think there was a general sort of around the room, everyone was sort of in agreement that that none of us really believed it. So yeah, I listen. Do I think they're being overly sneaky about it? I don't see what they gain from being sneaky about it. Do I think their system's wrong? I do think their system's wrong. What I think's happened, and I've maintained it. I'm not saying anything new here. I've said it for ages. I think when you bought a season ticket, you didn't get removed from the list. That's what it seems to me. That's why I've got a season ticket already for next year for me, and one for my son. But I've also got an email last week from me and for my son asking, telling us we were still on the waiting list and we could get tickets. So obviously the system hadn't updated to let them know that actually we're not on the waiting list anymore. We are actually current season ticket holders. I think it's a flaw in the system, the software, and I just think they're reading it wrong.
I still don't believe that 55,000. I'd be surprised if 5,000. There is people want a season ticket, but I'd be impressed if it's 5,000 now, 55,000. But we raised the questions at the meeting about the waiting list. She stood by it. I asked her if people that had a claret membership automatically gets added. She said no. I'm not sure I believe that either, but that's what she said. We asked the question. Doesn't mean we believe her though. However, season ticket renewal, she says 40% are renewed, which is just under 21,000, which is quite a lot, really. We consider still quite a long time to renew. I mean, there's people like me who is going to renew. I've just not done it yet. It's not the end of the season. I can't afford it. So I don't really. I'm in no hurry to renew. I've got another 5 weeks, but it's quite a large figure, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not shifting on what I said. I think there'll be less than last season up until the point when I think a marquee signing needs to come in. I've always maintained that, as you know, I've been very, very consistent. I think to get the full capacity and get what they want, they are going to have to sign a player that really impresses everybody and puts bums on seats, particularly because we really have lost the one that did put bums on seats in Dimitri Payet. Obviously, it's a bit of a sour puss now, and we don't like him, and it's boo. And at the start of the season, we were all looking forward to a victorious season in the new home with Dimitri Payet scoring free kicks all the time, so they didn't really need to buy a stellar signing. Now they do if they want to get anywhere near the season tickets that they got this year.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. Just news, information. If you have renewed and you want to relocate, there's a little button either way. You can say if you want to move or not. If you have to click that you want to relocate, because the club said they're going to phone everyone in order about where you want to move to, and then when the seats come up in that area, they're sort of going to offer it to you, ideally over the phone. I can't see this going smoothly, Gonzo.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, because if you remember, I was struggling to get my point across, wasn't I? I think I had to sort of say it. She didn't really understand what I was asking. But the reason she didn't understand what I was asking was because she assumed that when I had renewed, I'd seen that little box. I hadn't. That's why I didn't know. She was saying, because what it was saying was the club will give you a call if you've notified them to say you want to relocate. And I said 3 times, well, how do we let the club know that we want to relocate? And then eventually we got to the bottom of it, and actually when you went to renew, there was a little box that you had to tick. Well, I've renewed 2 season tickets for next season, and I didn't see the little box. So if you are going to renew and you haven't renewed yet, and you're looking to relocate, keep your eyes peeled. You're going down that screen, tick the little box, because it's going to be. I think it's going to be. Listen, I went down and I spoke with the head of ticketing afterwards, as you know, and they are implementing some really good new systems. I don't know how much. Again, I never know what I should say and what I shouldn't say. How much is talking about someone's job that I shouldn't be talking about? I don't know. But they've got a new person in ticketing. She knows what she's doing. She really does. She's trying to implement loads of new stuff and get it running a bit more smoothly. So I'm sure that they will get there eventually. But I do think there's going to be hiccups along the way, particularly with the relocation.
Yeah, I can see some hiccups. Pre-season tour has all been arranged. Now we don't know the dates, we don't know who we're playing, we don't know anything like that. But what we do know is we're heading off to Germany, Austria, and perhaps Iceland as well. So that was interesting. We didn't really probe her for that. She sort of willingly gave us that. So I'd imagine it's going to come out very soon on the official site as well. But if you want your summer holidays, keep your eyes peeled on flights to Germany, perhaps, because we're off there again. The side of the pitch, and again, another small thing, but a lot of people want it. The side of the pitch, they're getting rid of that green, plasticky looking rubbish thing, and they're replacing it as claret, and they're hoping that it'll sort of give me what's the word? It'll make it look smaller, the gap.
I don't know. Listen, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't know who you think you're kidding. The initial one was trying to make it look a bit like grass. It could never be because it was never the same green. Because grass changes the shade of green it is throughout the year. And you don't need me to tell you. You know more about it than I do. But I'm not sure that having the fabric being claret instead of green is particularly going to help. I don't think there's anything they can do it. There's a running track underneath it. They're trying to cover it. Everyone knows there's a running track underneath it. I don't know. I guess anything's better than the running track. It wasn't on my. It wasn't on my top 10 list or top 20 list when I was trying to get feedback for the meeting.
It wasn't on anyone's. I think that was just something willingly brought up and handed to us, sort of to say, well, we've sort of seen a lot of people saying they want it changed. We're changing it to claret for years, but.
Everyone knows the green fabric looks a bit crap, but it wasn't some huge issue before. I didn't think anything was going to be done. And the fact that the green fabric is going to change to claret fabric.
The distance is still the same, isn't it? Really, measuring people still say the same thing if it's green or claret. No more bullets on Media Watch on the official site. That got brought up there, Media Watch, and they were quick to say that the bullets thing was sort of a mistake, really, and it shouldn't have gone up, and it's sort of been rectified. That there should be no more bullet speculation promoted on the official site through their Media Watch.
But they do it quick. To be fair, she does say snap because we say that's not appropriate. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. The manager shouldn't be questioned on this. You know, she said, right, okay, bang, no more Media Watch. That's fine. You know, so you know, it's good because it was rubbish. And we want to do the Media Watch anyway. We don't want the club to do it. We want to do.
Does it though? We do it. Needs a Mother Brown do it as well. I think the West Ham way do it. Every site tends to do their own Media Watch. Next season, everyone knew this anyway, but just to confirm, the first two games of the season will be away, potentially 3. It depends. I think they're waiting for the fixture list to come out and the thing with the Athletics and removing the seat, etc. She was quite honest about this, actually. She was quite honest about how disappointed the rest of the board, Bilic and that were with sort of the way the transfers haven't worked out, and she sort of admitted that they could have done better and they should have done better. And so she didn't name players, but she just said the players they brought in, not all of them have lived up to expectation. I think we can take it. She means like Zaza, for example. But it's good to hear her be honest like that. She could have sat there and said, yeah, we believe in our policy, blah, blah, blah. And she sort of tried to say, well, no, we've made mistakes and we're not going to discuss it through the media like we did a year ago from her.
Yeah, we discussed slightly more football-related stuff than we did last time. I mean, last time really was logistics. It was beer, toilets, turnstiles, blah blah, flags. We got a little bit of it wasn't so much we got an awful lot back, but I think we all got a chance to air our concerns about the football and the direction of transfer policy, particularly things that we know that our guys on the forum wanted to talk about as well. Yeah, again, I think you're right. It was nice to hear that they agreed, and it does seem that if they're aware of it and they're going to look to do things slightly differently in the upcoming transfer window, hopefully.
I think there was one more thing from the meeting. Someone cheap, I can't remember who it was. Someone basically said to her, "How much is the transfer budget?" And she obviously wouldn't give a figure, but she did indicate that they're quite confident that it's a decent budget and it's sort of in line with the rest of the Premier League, etc. Is there anything else from the meeting that you want to discuss?
Yeah. I just because we're on the video and we know Peter Belfast Hammer does watch. We brought up the ticketing for the overseas fans, so as they can have sort of direct way of contacting the club, just for them to arrange stuff. The club, we did already bring it up. The club did know about it. Again, I spoke with somebody directly afterwards, about the meeting, discussed Belfast Hammers, Scandinavian Hammers particularly. But the club are on it. They are dealing with something. They're trying to make it easy. I don't think trying. I think they are actually have something in motion to make it easier for the overseas fans to book tickets and that sort of thing. So that was good news.
We'll be taking questions and comments on the live chat in 5-10 minutes. You can start filing them in. I'll start writing them down. Other news: Gonzo, Josh Cullen won 4 awards at the Bradford Player of the Year awards night.
Your boy, mate, your boy, and he did ever so well. I mean, to get so let's go through them just quickly. Player of the Year, Lone Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year.
Not sure. They've got various Player of the Years because I think there's like 3 or 4 different sponsors. So there's like a Supporters Player of the Year, a Social Media Player of the Year and stuff. I think he won a couple of them, and he won the Under-25s Player of the Year. He won, but the good thing is he's won 4, and I think Bert got 5 last year. So between the two of them, they've took 9 of the. I think there's 16 trophies in total. So I think they took 9 of the 16 trophies away between the two of them in the last 2 seasons. So
and you've been tipping him all season. You've been saying all season that's the guy you like, and you like the way he plays football, and you see a future in for West Ham. So obviously, particularly in light of, I'd say quite a few of the loans have been unsuccessful. That's one that's really, really worked out. So good for him. And of course, my lad, because we did a little tip, didn't we, at the start, who we'd like to see soon breakthrough next season. My lad Nathan Holland was on the bench, which is really nice, and obviously had a good game for the development squads in the week as well. So yeah, great news from Josh Cullen. Do you think he's going to be playing a part next season? What do you reckon?
I'm not sure. It's hard to tell because obviously we don't even know who the manager is going to be. But if it is Village, this is where my whole argument sort of ties in, because if it is Slav, he's into his last year of his contract. How is he going to risk his last 12 months by playing youth and possibly losing points for playing youth, etc.? It's a very catch-22. You want to see youth, but you don't want to lose the points.
Okay. Let's get this straight. Now you don't get an answer. Ex-employee did directly ask Karen Brady if Bilic was going to be our manager next season. He did, and obviously, she obviously said, they don't sack managers, and he's got a contract, and they honour contracts, and all all the stuff that you would expect her to say, and she did say. I do get the impression, not from that meeting, just from little things coming out, actually, probably more from all of our websites as much as anything else, because we've all got our own contacts here and there and people we speak to. I get the impression Bilic is planning for next season. I do get that impression, that in terms of what he wants to do, and certainly in players he's willing to release. There's certain comments from his press conference as well that make it appear that he is planning for next season. Not when he's asked the direct questions, are you going to keep your job safe? Actually, when he is talking about, I don't know, youth players and how it's impacted them, and players coming back from injury, and we need to get a bit more out of him next season. He says things like that, which makes me think, hold on, maybe you are gonna keep your job.
Yeah, but I mean, the pre-season tour thing is one of the things as well. Really, it's sort of like, well, you really let the manager decide all that. You're planning on moving him, but anything can happen between now and the end of the season, I suppose. Under 23s, West Brom 4-0. Obviously, Nathan Holland scored that one. They're now in the playoff semi-finals, second year running. It'll be good to see them go all the way again, won't it?
Yeah, but it'd be good to see some come through now. Yeah, I mean, we've got some talented, it seems, talented young players. Obviously, Martinez has gone off on loan. I think he puts a little quite emotional message out to Oxford tonight, I believe, or today, and saying how much he enjoyed it there and he'll never forget them. And that's another loan that's sort of worked out quite well. But we do have some talented youngsters, and it's all very well getting to semi-finals and doing this sort of thing. We actually do want to see them moving forward and getting some time in the first team. You know, I don't. But people like Nathan Holland's just come into the club. This actually, it was the right thing to do for him to play in that. But hopefully, if he is, and not just that, people like Hip Queener and people like that, they're actually a little bit younger than people like Cullen and Burke and stuff like that. Actually, those guys, you do want. You think if they're not going to make it over the next year or two, it's probably not going to happen for them at West Ham because they are, I don't know their ages, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they're 21, 22 rather than 16, 17, and there is a considerable difference, obviously.
Victor is asking if we asked about Bilge's battery staff. We didn't, Victor. It's not that sort of thing. I don't think it's really Karen Brady's place to sort of say if they're planning on removing Bilge's staff or forcing him to. We didn't really ask that sort of stuff.
But they are aware of the criticism, Victor. They are aware of the criticism. That much was clear. But yes, as Geo says, she doesn't. I tell you what was very interesting as well. She did say that actually the owners and her don't interfere with the playing stuff. I think she said she's been to the training ground once.
That's because it got refurbished.
Yeah, and I can't remember the other two. I don't want to quote unfairly, but basically, I think David Gold occasionally goes down there for sort of corporate for sponsor stuff. Maybe David Sullivan doesn't go down there. They try and make sure that the training ground is the manager's realm and he's the governor, he's the boss, so as not to undermine him. That much was clear. So I don't think she knows a lot about that sort of stuff, to be honest, Victor.
There's a couple of people asking about Nordvite playing on Saturday. We do have our preview tomorrow night, Thursday night, 8:30 live, which we'll discuss that. But Gonzo, have you changed your mind on Nordvite because of the game at the weekend? I mean, what was your mind up on him? Were you happy to see him leaving in summer, or have you changed your mind or that?
I was a bit so sort of starstruck. Obviously, I'm doing the film. I'm at the game. I'm watching the game. You can see that, but I'm also vlogging the game. You know, so energetic players stand out for me, and I was a bit starstruck by Masuaku, I've got to say, in the last game. As I often do, I get home the next day, and as I'm editing the video, I'll put the telly on and watch the game over. And you watch it a bit more calmly, and I saw Nordvite. He didn't just do the mopping up job; he actually had quite a good range of passing as well. And even when I was watching it, there was that double shot, which you see, clearly I pick it up in the vlog, but I wasn't even aware that it was Nordvite at the time, but you did look more impressed. So, yeah, having looked at it again, yeah, he deserves, we're safe, mate. I'm pretty sure we're safe. He deserves a little run and a little go, as do a couple of others.
Another season, would you keep him in the summer? Obviously, every player's got his price, but in theory, would you keep him for next season?
Mate, he's ours. As I've said before, he's not like Kaleri. He's ours. I think he's on a 4 or 5 year contract. Absolutely, we'd keep him. Yeah, for sure. If he's happy to do so. And don't forget Obiang's first season, he didn't play very much, and then the second season, we saw his value.
Same with Winston Reid. Winston Reid was awful in his first year. Everybody was looking at him. Who's this guy? Arguably one of our top 4 players now. Tom B is saying, what do you think about Oxford? Because while our under-23s were winning 4-0, he was playing for Reading under-23s.
Was he?
Yeah, Reece Oxford was playing for Reading under-23s. So he's.
I thought he'd got into the team a bit at Reading recently. Started to play.
He did, but they got smashed 7-0, I think, when he was playing. So
did they?
Yeah. That was 2 or 3 weeks ago now.
Is it really? What do I think? Well, Tom,
have we bigged Oxford up too much?
I don't think. I don't. No. If we're guilty of anything, it's being caught up by all the hype. We mentioned 442 earlier. Magazines like that do say this is the most talented youngster in Europe, and then whatever Football Manager make him the top grower, and then Man United try and buy him, and then Man City try and buy him, and then he almost doesn't. They're all in for him, but he signs for West Ham. I think all that hype, together with his debut against Arsenal, where he had Mesut Ozil in his pocket, I think you put all that together. I think we expected big things, probably too soon. Again, I spoke about the age earlier. He's not 21, 22. He's not. He is a young man. He's very, very young, particularly for a centre back. You don't see too many, very, very few. I mean, what's he? Is he 18? I think he's still 17, possibly. You don't see many 17-year-old centre backs. People throw Rio at me, but Rio went on to be a Champions League winner and the most expensive defender in the world. So maybe if he was 19, he's still got learning time. I think certain lots of it.
I think he's 18. Does it concern you? Would you? People say that young players these days want the money. Would it concern you the fact that he had that massive standoff with us for his contract and he is sort of well paid for his age, or is that just a reflection of his ability and potential for you?
No, I wouldn't say that. That particular case worries me. Generally, the whole thing worries me for football. It does absolutely worry me. It's totally unrelated, actually. It's totally unrelated. It's because it's Ricky Gervais, right? Ricky Gervais was asked about Justin Bieber. We're totally going off track here, but it will come back to the same thing. Justin Bieber's like a knob, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He does stupid things. He crashes his car. He tries to beat up photographers, and he's got no control. And someone asked Ricky Gervais about him, and Ricky Gervais said, actually, I feel a bit sorry for Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber was famous at 14. He said, I didn't even become famous until I was 40. He said, I was 40 years of age and the office got famous. He became famous. I'd already become a man. I already had my own set of ideas. I wasn't easily swayed. I hadn't had too much too young. I'd had a job and all the rest of it. And I do worry about kids that are 15, 16 and millionaires. Where does the drive come from? You know what I mean? Look at Antonio. Look at Antonio, for instance. Antonio was playing for Tooting. Ian Wright was like that. Stuart Pearce, when he signed for Nottingham Forest, didn't actually believe it was happening. Stuart Pearce, when he signed for Nottingham Forest, was an electrician. Even though he'd signed for Nottingham Forest, he actually put an advert in the local paper for Stuart Pearce Electrics and the rest of it. He'd signed for Nottingham Forest. He's playing professional football. Turned up at someone's house to fit a consumer unit or something. And Brian Clough actually had to turn around to him. No, you're a professional footballer now. So I just think it's a different mentality. I don't think it's just Reece Oxford. I think you've got to be really focused, have really good parents, and have a really good character as a young player to succeed in English football now.
Yeah, we'll see. The jury's out for me with Reece. Let's just pray that he lives up to hype and potential and what we're expecting of him. A couple of Brady meeting questions I'll fly through quickly. Octopus Time says, did we mention the injuries? No, we didn't mention injuries, but it's kind of tied in with the whole disappointing season. We sort of dropped in there that they're disappointed with how much injuries there are, etc. And there was another one. Vernon asked if Jack Sullivan was there. Yes, Jack was at the meeting. No, he had no input at all. He just sat there, he listened, he absorbed the fans and Karen Brady's, if you like. He was there for experience, I think, more than anything, and to listen to the fans. I've got a lot of respect for doing that, actually. Connor says, I know your answer to this. My answer is yours now, so I'm going to ask it anyway. Connor says, do you think Bilic will get a new deal?
No, I don't think he'll get a new deal, but I'm starting to think he'll get to serve the last year of his current deal.
Yeah, I think it depends on. I don't think he's going to get one in the summer, but next season, if we play like we did last season, then I think he'll get one at the end of it. But jury's out massively, I think. Caitlin, this is slightly different than what we've been asked before. We got asked before which youth player we're looking forward to seeing. She's asking which youth player would be integrated into the first team next season. But my answer is obvious, Josh Cullen.
Yeah, and I can see why you would want Josh Cullen, because we are actually slightly deficient. I think in craft in midfield sometimes. I would probably go for Martinez on this one, because I actually also think we're slightly deficient in a centre forward. But you know what? These things change. I don't know if we sign a midfielder, sign a centre forward, maybe they're not instantly the ones you look at.
Mark Weir just asked if there any updates on the statue. Actually, yes, we've missed that. That did get brought up. There's a tug of war going on with the council, etc., about who owns it and who's paid for it. It's two different things altogether. They've not given up yet, but it's proven a lot more difficult than they thought, I think. Well, Victor is asking if you think there will be a number of younger players leaving in the summer. This ties in, I suppose, to your will they get a chance, will they won't get a chance?
I think it's certain that somebody will leave, because I think if you are a player like Burke, I'm going to go back to Burke again. Burke's a good player. He's played first team football for us, but then again, we brought in a player like Font. Ogbona's coming back. Ginge deserves to serve out his last year. There's no doubt about that. What a hero that bloke is. Winston Reid, such a good player. I just think. See, actually, Burke is not one of those guys who I said might have too much too young. Burke goes to away games and stuff like that. So actually, I don't think he's got an attitude problem. I think he probably has got a really good attitude, and he's going to want to play football somewhere. And he's a West Ham fan. It will hurt him to leave, but I think I could see him going actually.
Brentwood Hammer is asking if there's any progress on access to the ground via Westfield. I'm afraid not, but there's supposed to be a bridge coming in at some point that heads over to Putney Station, is it?
It's the station. It's also no. I mean, I think Westfield's a sticky wicket. Karen wouldn't say too much on that one, I've got to say. But there's clearly they're not helpful. I wouldn't even blame the club on this one. Actually, I don't think Westfield are particularly helpful to deal with.
I wouldn't really blame Westfields either. You know, from a business point of view, you wouldn't want all them football fans.
No, you wouldn't. But they're not. It's not. There's not. I don't think there's a great relationship going on there, and that's the truth. You're right. There's a planning permission going on for a bridge. I think. I don't want to say it gets people too excited, but I think it might almost be going. It just cuts out Westfield. Might take you straight from the stadium to the station. Obviously, got Pudding Mill Lane's going to open up soon. The club don't want to publicise. They don't want to push people on there. I think because some away fans use it, but there's a school being built there. There's roads opening up there soon. Hackney Wick's getting a development of some description, so it's hopeful that it will ease the leaving. But I think, in all honesty, particularly if we look to get a few more seats in there, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think once that bridge is built, I think that'll be hallelujah and that'll solve everyone's problems. I think until then, you're still going to struggle to get out of that place.
A couple more questions to take before we do that. Just to let you know, we have a signed pair of boots from Antonio. If you fancy winning these bad boys, for both of them actually, sign them both kindly. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. You can do that by hitting on the bottom right. There's our Hammers Chat logo. Click on that, hit the subscribe button. And you can comment below in this video with your favourite Antonio goal. There's also an Antonio interview we did with our friend Charlie. The link will be up at the end of the video. Mark SB has a specific shopping list for you, Gonzo. He says, would you like to sign Joe Hart, Trippier, Wiltshire, Mata, and 2 strikers?
Can I have all of them? Is that what he's saying?
Well, I think he's saying, I think that's who he wants, and I think he wants your opinion.
Well, I spent about 3 hours with Mark on Saturday. He could have asked me then. Trippier's nice. You never get him from Tottenham. Obviously, we need a right back. Wilshere, I've been saying yes all year, but I mean, he's got injured. He's got injured again, and now is it worth? I don't know. I think that's a risk. Clearly, we need some midfield. We need something new in midfield. I think a bit of quality to get the ball to the front man. Strikers, you say 2 strikers, Mark? Yes, mate. Yes, absolutely. We need strikers. Who? I don't know. I'm just really pleased we didn't buy Callum Wilson for 25 million. I'll tell you that much. It looked like the wrong one at Bournemouth by all accounts, doesn't it?
Yeah, all I'll say is 2 strikers, yes. Joe Hart, well, we'll do another show near the transfer deadline about transfers and that, but it's not my choice. Wiltshire, no, he's just broke his leg. Mata, absolutely no chance, and you ain't getting anyone from Spurs when you're at West Ham, unfortunately, I don't think. Certainly, unless you're willing to pay about treble his value, just to even get a chinwag with the player himself. Last question or two. Connor says, ex-West Ham employee says there will be a few surprise releases in the summer in terms of youth players. Who do you think they will be?
Well, as I said, I think Burke will be one of them. If it's surprises, he's obviously knows something. Samuelson will be. I'm guessing. Burke and Samuelson. There are my guesses.
Well, a couple of ones ago, I said I don't think Samuelson's going to make it. I just don't think he's going to make it for some reason. He's just not hit the heights as sort of promised. I'd be a bit pissed off actually if Burt leaves. I'd be really disappointed if he leaves. I can see why, because like you said, he's at that pivotal age and he's going to be looking at us thinking, well, there's Ogbonna, Reid, Ginge and Font in front of me. God knows. I'll say Samuelson as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if Martinez maybe moves on. You know, I don't know why. I just got a feeling that he doesn't score that much at Oxford. Doesn't mean he's played poorly, but he hasn't exactly taken the league. You know, he hasn't exactly set the league on fire anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something in there which allows him to move on at the end of his contract or something. I don't know. We'll wait and see, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of them. Well, Gonzo, we'll start wrapping up. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, those boots, they're really light. They weigh hardly anything. I've not owned a pair of football boots for about 10 or 15 years. Honestly, they almost flew out my hand. They're really light, good quality, lovely boots, them.
Yeah, well, they're signed by Antonio as well. But anyway, just a reminder, if you want to win these pair of Antonio boots, hit the subscribe button, comment below your favourite Antonio video. And also any comments from the video. Obviously, the big one is Karen Brady meeting and what's going on with the HMRC. You can get involved on our forum at hammerschat.com, where we're discussing what me and Gonzo have discussed and plenty more. We'll be back Thursday night at 8:30 with our preview of the Stoke game. We'll have a review of the Stoke game. We've got loads of stuff coming up as the end of the transfers come in to a close, and also that means the transfer window is near us, and there's lots of changes to be made at West Ham United. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.